Thank you for joining this meeting. Um, so the objective of this meeting is to talk about a couple of demos that is created in the GenAI space. I know a lot of people are working on the GenAI initiative right now. So what I am looking forward is to collaborate and see if anyone can participate in creating these demos for GenAI space. So I know a lot of you working on the GenAI initiatives right now. So please let me know if you're available to work with us in terms of rolling out these demos for GenAI. The objective is to make sure that we showcase our capabilities to our clients. So I'm planning to cover a couple of demos here today. One is Before that, let me introduce myself. So my name is Ravi Saraswathi. I am from the cloud practice, working together with the ADI team in terms of this GenAI initiatives. So I'll be available after this meeting in case if you guys have any questions or anything that you wanted to discuss for. So we wanted to cover like 4 demos today. One is how can we create GenAI business applications by utilizing the open source software. There are a lot of open source software framework available in the GenAI space today, where we can create the custom LLM by utilizing the existing foundational model. So I will walk you through a couple of demos for how we can utilize the open source to create GenAI business applications, especially a couple of things like TensorFlow, PyTorch, and OpenLLM. Those are some of the open source software that we can cover today. The second demo that I want to cover is the virtual assistants. Means how can we create a virtual assistants based on the data that we collect from the enterprise. That means we shall be able to ask any questions to uh, the GenAI system, and GenAI system shall be able to answer intelligently based on the data that is being configured. So that's the second demo that I want to cover. The third demo that I want to cover is the enterprise search. How can we search something within the enterprises? I mean, many enterprises has a lot of databases, PDF files, and a lot of data, petabytes of data each enterprises has. So how can we utilize LLM to enable a search within that enterprise systems? And fourth one I want to cover is how can we create GenAI applications by utilizing Vertex AI. So you shall be able to, we have a couple of demos that we can show in terms of how can we roll out GenAI application by utilizing the Google services like Vertex AI, Generative App Studio, and a couple of other stuff. Based on the recent Google announcements, Google is far ahead compared to other hyperscalers. That's my view. So we can definitely start with Google and then we can go ahead with the other hyperscalers. And the last thing I want to cover is the GenAI industry use cases and a couple of minimum viable product that we can create by utilizing the industry use cases that we have. So guys, I wanted to be an interactive session, so please feel free to ask any questions that you have. You can put it in the chat. So Dave, Dean, or Mag, if you guys can, let me know if somebody is putting some questions in the chat. That will be great. I cannot see
Sure,
the chat from here. All right.
sure.
So before I start going through these demos, any questions, any comments, anything that I can answer for you? All right. So let's go with the one by one. So the first one I want to cover is how can we utilize open source software?
I think, Ravi, sorry. I think there's echo.
Yeah, if somebody
I'm
could
not
mute
sure.
it, that will be great. Okay, so hey guys, if you could mute, that will be great. Thank you. Okay, so the first one I want to cover is how can we utilize open source to create GenAI business applications. So what exactly is a GenAI? GenAI is nothing but you can use this software to create content, whether it can be text, whether it can be image or code. So let's look at the first demo that we can cover. So as I mentioned, there are a lot of open source software available to create generative AI business applications. I just wanted to cover one of the open source framework, that is OpenLLM. So OpenLLM is a free software that anybody can utilize. It is freely available to download. There is no cost associated with that. And this OpenLLM can be utilized to fine tune or deploy or monitor any LLM, any large language models. Uh, so OpenLLM is one of the software. It's very easy to use. All you need is Python. That's all you need. There is no other software that you need. You just install the latest version of the Python. And once you install it, you shall be able to create large language model by using the OpenLLM. It's very easy to install. They have pip install available for Mac, and for Linux also it's available. And once you install it, and you can just start the 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 OpenLLM by utilizing OpenLLM start. So when you utilize OpenLLM, you have several options. You can utilize different language models. So let me see what language models it supports. So every open source software that is available to create generative AI applications support only certain foundation models, including Google Vertex. It doesn't support all the foundation models that is available today. OpenLLM, it supports, these are the foundation models that it supports. So what is a foundation model? Foundation model is a pre-trained large language model that is being available for us to customize it for our own use case. For example, if you have a retail use case, if you have a healthcare use case, the first step is to identify what existing foundation model that we can utilize in order to create the business outcome that our customer is looking for. So OpenLLM, it support this many foundation model. Like the first foundation model is Llama. Llama is a foundation model that is being created by the Facebook. It is being widely available, and Google also have lot of foundation models. AWS also has it. So let's look at how we can start creating the application. So once you start this software, and it will take you to one of the API that we can take it. Let me take this 1 second. Let me reduce the screen a little bit. So this is the API that it provides. HTTP 00 LLM. This, let me go to the console with this. So how can we create the LLM based on GenAI? Basically, what it provides is it provides API. It doesn't provide anything else. You take this API, you integrate this API with your business applications. So in this case, this will provide you a couple of APIs that you can utilize for your business applications. So in this case, look at a post API that LLM provides. So the first thing the LLM provides is a prompt. So prompt is where you can write any of the questions that you wanted to ask to LLM. In this case, I'm utilizing a foundation model called OPT. So again, as I said, you can take any of these LLMs, a foundation model that is available that supports by OpenLLM for your application. I configured OPT for this demo. OPT is a small, large language foundation model. I selected OPT because it's easy to run it in my Mac. It doesn't need GPU or other hardware. So what it does is it will provide you an API and you can just pretty much, tell anything to a joke, say tell a joke. If you're doing that, this will get executed. And when you write this questions, you have a lot of parameters available. I'm not going to cover all these parameters, but you can customize it the way you're asking to the LLM. That is how you can get the response. That's called prompt design. So prompt design is very important to get an accurate results that will avoid the hallucination. That means wrong results from the system. So in this case, I executed that, and it is supposed to provide a joke. Yeah, this is the joke that it's provided. So again, you can pretty much add any foundation model that supports this particular software to it, and you can get appropriate response to it. Okay, any questions about OpenLLM? It is easily available to download. It is in the GitHub, and all you need to do is just run the pip install. Make sure you have pre-installed Python versions available, and you shall be able to run it. And once you're able to run it, you take one of the foundation model, configure it, and you shall be able to up and running. And once you have this API available, you take this API and you attach this API with any software that you have, any software program that you have, attach this API with it, and you shall be able to add this particular response to this particular stuff.
Hey, Ravi, I'll moderate. So Mitesh has got a question, and then Vipin's got a question. Does it require access to the internet?
Does it require access to the internet? Okay, so the way it works is yes and no, right? I mean, the way the large language model works is based on my understanding, you configure the data to the software, and the software get executed based on the data that you are attached to, right? If you're attaching the enterprise data, whether it can be database, whether it can be PDF file, whether it can be anything that you have like emails, you attach to these large language models, and that large language models get executed based on the data that you have. So you have two models available. You can either run this large language model within your own data center. That is one model with your own hardware. One of the issue is you need to have high GPU capability available to run the large language model. It's very expensive. The second option that you have is you can use any of the cloud providers. Like Google has a lot of AI infra chip available. You can select any GPU that you need. It is supported by Google. Azure has some, AWS has some. So those are the two options available, just to give you an idea about the hardware that you need.
Yeah, and Ravi, in this case, I think you're sending that to OpenLLM, to OPT LLM, right? So you can
in this case
go to the internet in this particular demo case.
Correct, Dave. In this case, I need internet access because I'm relying upon the OpenLLM.
Right.
So just give you some, yeah.
You can create your own LLM, but that's not what Ravi's covering at the moment.
Okay. So just to give you,
you got another question from Mitesh, I think, unless he's put his hand down.
Yep, go ahead.
We've got another one from Tom right after you, Mitesh.
And then So Ravi, I mean, I understand from the demo point of view, but when we look for the this open source and every customer have certain reservations. So this foundation model will have a certain kind of enterprise release or certified release from the web for for this specific vendor, OpenLLM, correct? So we can directly use without any security concern. I mean, are they available in the certified manners or which is already vetted for the security purpose in the background?
Yes, yes. So every software provider today allow only certain foundation models,
Hmm.
which is vetted by them, whether it is open source or whether it is commercial. They don't support all the foundation model that is available today. OpenLLM support only this much. Google only support a certain case. So let me show you. And Azure also support only certain. So this is the Google Vertex, Google Model Garden that you can see. So in the Google Model Garden, you can see like these are the foundation model that is being supported by Google. Just
Hmm.
because like Kindle create a foundation model tomorrow, like Kindle Foundation something, we need to get a permission from Google in order to upload this foundation model to GCP and make it available for public. Same thing for Azure also. Azure support GPT and a couple other foundation model. And to answer your question, I assume Google will be doing all the security check, looking at the code, ensure that it is being responsive AI. It doesn't provide anything crazy. So I assume like they do that vetting by themselves. But to answer your question, yes, you have limited support, and any software that you have, you can go to that software and you can see what are the foundation model it supports.
Okay.
And the Google is number one in that because they have Palm. Palm is one of the best foundation model that they have today. It's an excellent foundation model created by Google, and it you can utilize this for like tremendous number of languages it supports. I think it's 70. I don't remember how many languages it supports. It provides you search capability, and it provides you the classification of the text, and you can summarize the text. So if you ask me, the number one foundation model available today is Palm 2. Okay, any other questions before I go to
Robbie, I
the
think we'll take two more questions here and then we'll get to your second demo. So the first one is Tomash wants us to just drop the GitHub. Actually, there's a bunch of folks that want us to drop that Git link so that they can follow the step by step. And then there are two questions about building LLMs. I think we'll cover that, I think, in a different session. Alwyn's got a question about, is there guidance how to train the foundation with enterprise data? Yeah, I think you'll touch a little bit of that when you get into Vertex AI. And then there's another question about fine tuning an LLM. I think you'll get into that. There's some parameters within Vertex. So we'll take those questions a little further in the end. And Ravi, if at the end of this you can just drop that Git link, I think that'd satisfy the step by step for OpenLLM.
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, you want
Yeah, thank you, Dave. So the
Mhm.
other open source that is available you can play around is TensorFlow. TensorFlow is very easy to configure. Again, it's Python based, and they have a lot of sample code available. All you need to do is just install TensorFlow in your system, in your laptop, or in your and then you can take a sample code that is been available, and you shall be able to run and create the API and sample applications for this. Other one I tried is PyTorch. PyTorch is one of the other open source software that is been available. You can try it out, and they have pretty good examples that they provide where you can run it by yourself. Third one is Bendo ML. Bendo ML is provides. This is very promising because it provides some of the serverless capabilities also for running the creating generative AI applications. And they have an open source version, and also they have a commercial version. and open source version is more than enough for us to play around. Okay, so let's go to the next demo. But before that, I think Dave mentioned about fine tuning, right? As I mentioned earlier, the first step is to select an LLM and attach your organization data to that LLM, run through the fine-tuned steps in order to get the results that you want. That's how you create the enterprise LLM. And there are a lot of results that you can achieve. You can summarize it, you can classify the text, you can generate the text, and it can be image, it can be video, it can be text. There are a lot of options available for us to utilize. Okay. So before I go to the next demo, let me see what is available in the hyperscalers. So in the AWS, I don't have enough time to cover the AWS and Azure today. Today I'll be just covering only the Google. In the next section, I'll come back and I'll talk about how we can create generative applications by utilizing AWS services and Azure services. In the AWS, I'm looking at the AWS console right now. There are two services that's very important. One is Bedrock. Bedrock is an easiest way to create generative AI applications with foundation models. AWS has one foundation model today that's called Titan. It's very preliminary. I would say compared to all the three hyperscalers, AWS is the lowest right now in terms of the capabilities are concerned. The Titan foundation model that they have, I tried it out. It's very premature. It doesn't provide a lot of options. They have text, image, and video, but again, you cannot compare this Titan with the Palm, which Google has it. But AWS Bedrock is one of the services that we can utilize to create the generative AI applications. The second service that we need to be we need to look into is SageMaker. SageMaker is where we can deploy once you create a custom LLM. This is the service that you can utilize to deploy this into production or into real use. Just wanted to cover Azure also. So in the Azure's two services that we need to be looked at. One is OpenAI. OpenAI is one of their service that you can utilize to connect any LLM models that we have today. They have APIs available. So Dean right now, he uses for K9 development and Dave. And so this is something like OpenAI is available as an API where we can utilize to connect any LLM models that we have. And also it will provide you an ability to build your generative applications by utilizing a couple of foundation models. And Azure Machine Learning Language, this is one of the services that you can utilize in order to manage all the models or all the assets that you create or all the data that you create. So these are the two services that you need to be looked into. I know Kindrel, some of you in the call is already working on Azure services. So I'm really looking forward collaborating with you and working on this. Any questions on any of these things that we covered so far? Okay, so let's go to the next demo. So the next demo, we can cover the virtual assistants. So this is one of the basics for Gen AI. That means you attach your enterprise data, you ask a question, and it will ask you, it will answer you. That means you can replace a customer service agent, or you can replace any human being in an enterprise. This automated system will provide you the answers that you are looking for based on what they learned from the enterprise data that we configured. So I'm looking at the Google example here. In the Google right now, we have 4 major foundation model that is being available that can be utilized for creating intelligent answers for our customers. One is PAM, that is large language model. Image gen, any questions related to images, right? I mean, can you create an image? Can you, tell me why, what is this image? Those questions should be related to image gen, that is a foundation model. Cody, Cody is a foundation model that we can attach to with enterprise data that will give you coding. I will definitely anticipate in the future, at least part of the software developers will be replaced by utilizing this technology. Because if you ask today, even ChatGPT, if you ask today, write a Python program to calculate something, it will give you an excellent program, and you can cut and paste that program and run it in the Python, Replit, or some other IDE, and you can get the results that you need. So imagine you're attaching the organization intelligence with this Cody, and it shall be able to provide meaningful code that is related to specific industries or specific enterprises. So Cody is something we can utilize to create the code. Chirp is something like speech model. It can create audio. It can create, you know, it will provide you say, create a marketing material for my new software release, and it will create an audio for you to publish it in Twitter or Facebook or anywhere you want. So in this case, I'm just talking about the PAM. That's a text model. This we can utilize in order to create meaningful answers for your questions. Azure has foundation model, that is GPT. They don't have foundation model. My understanding, they are not spending too much effort on creating their own foundation model. Rather, they are relying upon the Chat GPT. They have a very good investment over there. And AWS Titan, it's preliminary. That's another foundation model they have. So let's look at the demo that we have in the Google space. So any questions that you have when I bringing up the demo?
Ravi, there are questions about large language models. I think we're handling them on the side here. There's commentary around what are the characteristics and capabilities and the reasons for liking GCP. Mike, our partnership with Google's has given us access to some beta models. We have, obviously there are, as Jeff mentioned, are we required to get pre-approval from the privacy officer? Yes. We have access to Vertex AI from a development perspective, where we know that our data isn't being used to train the public model. So that's probably the most responsible reason for liking GCP. And then from an industry perspective, we see GCP as leaders. I'm saying that I am the GCP tower lead, so take that with a grain of salt. Right, I might be a little bit biased, Mike.
All right, thank you, Dave. So if you look at the demo that we are talking about, is for a virtual assistant. So we need to build the front end for this. So I'm just showing only the back end. One of our developers are working on creating a front end for this. So right now I'm just showing only the back end. And you can utilize GenApp Builder from Google Cloud in order to create this. So all you need to do is you create an app and you attach the data with this, right? Let me show you the data point that I attached. So in this case, I attach my website to this particular data, right? As I mentioned earlier, you take a foundation model, attach your organization data. That's how you create the enterprise LLM. So in this case, The organization data is my website. The pre-trained LLM is PAM from Google. So if I look at the edit data store, this is the data store that I attach, my website, right? You can attach database or PDF file, anything that you want with this system. I attach my website to this. So let's test the agent. So you can pretty much talk to anything. Say I'm just asking where is Ravi Saraswathi, right? It will give you some answers. Yeah, Ravi located in Herndon, Virginia. It's not exactly Herndon, it's Ashburn, but it will give you so where Ravi is working today. So you can pretty much ask any questions. It's supposed to provide. Yeah, it has some old data. They are saying I'm still working for IBM. So the idea behind is you can attach pretty much anything organizational related, whether it is website, whether it is any data point, and the more data that you can attach, anything meaningful response, if you need petabytes of data, right? That's the only way you can create some meaningful response. So the way you utilize this for your application is you take this and it will provide you a widget for adding this to any of your application. So you take this widget and you attach with your application, business applications, maybe your GUI in the top. You can ask ask any questions about HR or ask any questions about customer services. And this API will connect to this particular LLM models and it will generate the response that you're looking for. And then you shall be able to showcase to the customer. So let me pause here. Any questions? So this is one of the virtual assistants. So you can pretty much create anything that you want with this particular, with this particular model that I am utilizing. Okay, let's look at the next couple of demos that we have. So we covered the virtual assistants, and then let's look at the, I just put a couple of data points. You can get pretty much any answers with no human intervention. That's the advantage of virtual assistants. And in the demo that I shown, basically it is utilizing a large language model called Text Bison 001. But you can pretty much add any language model that we want. It doesn't need to be text bias. Any language model that Google supports, you shall be able to attach to this particular model and you shall be able to get the answers for. Or hopefully like Kyndryl will create our own foundation model and we shall be able to attach to it, right? Okay. All right. And let's look. Yeah.
Ravi, there's a question from Mitesh.
Yep.
Your data will be resides at org sites? That's the first question. And API call happen every time to fetch data? Is that correct? Or data will store at local to LLM model and process locally?
Mitesh, that depends on which LLM you're going against. As I mentioned before, if you're using either, the paid version of the Azure service or the Vertex AI with the Google, any one of the Google LLMs that you attach it to, from an enterprise perspective, the data will be processed and put not in the public domain. If you're going against the public API, then you will be training. For instance, if you're going against Bard, you're going to be which is essentially the Bison LLM, but in the public domain. If you're using Vertex in a organization in Google, and you're paying for Gen App Builder and Vertex AI, your data will be residing within your organization. I'm not exactly sure where the prompts are stored. I think that really depends on how you write your application. That's something I have to take away, Mitesh, but it goes back to Jeff's question earlier about frankly understanding what we're doing with our data and responsibly using large language models and that's again what some of the stuff that we're trying to do with K9 is intercept the outgoing prompts, redact them, and determine what backend LLMs you can go against. But for now, what Ravi is demoing is all public domain. We have to be, if you're interested in doing this, you have to be very careful about what data you put in the prompt because you know that's going outside of the company. But we don't have to put sensitive data in to build art of the possible demos. But do understand, and we are entertaining creating some education on what you're actually doing when you're submitting a prompt to an LLM, and part of that education is likely to be consumed later on. If you think about some of the security videos that we're forced to take from a business conduct guidelines perspective, we have to start to get ahead of that education within the company or and we need to start to teach all of our customers the responsible use of generative AI, because the opportunity to exfiltrate data is significant.
Right.
Sorry, Ravi, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Any other questions? Okay, so let's look at the enterprise search. So the enterprise search is where we can search by utilizing an LLM with the organization data. Again, you can use GenApp Studio for creating this created one search demo. So in this case, what I did is, Google team asked for creating a demo for state of Florida. So state of Florida want to get some meaningful search results only based on the data that they have. State of Florida doesn't want to get any search based on the publicly available data. They just want, if somebody is asking any questions to them, that search should be limited to their data point. So what I did is, in this case, I configured the state of Florida website. So there are two websites that's been configured, one of the county websites and official Florida website. So this has been configured to this. And once we configure this particular websites, and we can pretty much, you can configure any data point, BigQuery, or any APIs that you have. Google did a fantastic job in terms of making it easier for us. The thing here is, guys, you don't need to be a artificial intelligence expert or ML developer or a data scientist for creating an ML applications. There are so much of advancement today by these hyperscalers and the open source community, where we can utilize their framework and we can roll out GenAI applications for our customers. There is no need for getting a detailed, complex knowledge about all the algorithms, all those stuff that we have. The way they are rolling it out, the entire technology is amazingly great. So the way you can create this application is, once you configure this, it will provide you a code where you can attach this code with your applications that you have. That means you take this code and you attach to this your application, and it will provide you a text prompt, something like this, right? Search here. So in this case, I'm looking for give details about Florida DMV. All the search results that you see will be limited to only Florida websites. It doesn't provide you any search results from any other websites outside of this. So it provides you the Pass County websites and my Florida websites. Those are the only two websites it will provide you the search result for. So it cannot get easier than this, right? So all you need to do is you just go to GenApp Builder, take the data, configure your data with the GenApp Builder, and it will give you the sample code where you can utilize it for your business application. And you can put it in as a Python program or any other Node.js or Java. It doesn't matter what program it is. You can use this widget and attach with this, and you can get the search results that you're looking for. Okay, let me pause here. Any questions about the search demo? It's available.
Yeah, right. We've got one question about on-prem LLMs. I don't really have an answer to that. I don't know if you want to take a swing at that. And also, there's a question from there's a question from Jean-Marc that says, which generative AI solutions can be scaled privately, meaning no data going back to a hyperscaler and solely running on private on-prem cloud? Do we have capabilities to design in Kyndryl to design and install something like that? And I'm not sure if Jeff's response was talk to Ed P. But if do you have, I don't really have an answer to on-prem LLMs at the moment. So
yeah, I can clarify that. Dave. So guys, it doesn't need to be utilized in the hyperscaler services. As I mentioned earlier, if you're installing OpenLLM, you are installing OpenLLM in your own hardware. It doesn't connect to a hyperscaler. You're using your own hardware. The only limiting factor here is GPU. GPUs are very expensive, and I do have a computer in my home. I was using it for Bitcoin mining. Now I am using it for GenAI. It's amazingly slow if you're attaching some large language model. In this case, I attach OPT. OPT is a small model. That's why I'm able to run this. One of the limiting factor for running it into on-prem is the GPU limitation. But you have the software available today to run it in your own on-prem, managed by yourself. You doesn't need to be relying upon the hyperscalers. Okay. Any other questions?
Ravi, I do have, but I think Dave, is the chat question answered? I will wait for my turn.
No, go. Sort of. Yeah, go ahead, Mitesh. On the on-prem. I think that's where you're going. Yeah.
So Ravi, I mean, on the state of Florida, correct? You enter the website name, and when you run the search, correct? It give you the list of all the content or website link from the state of Florida website, correct?
Yes.
Now, if I'm assuming that most of the website like disable the kind of crawling functions because for the security reason they do. I think this is more in taking the content from the sitemap and display here, but it go in a kind of more in detail. But uh, when I look at this API, correct? It does this API first of all has to be added as a part of trusted source from the state of Florida. When you did this exercise with the state of Florida and give this demo, did you coming from the internet and just run this query against the state of Florida? Or you have added the trusted source first of all, and then make sure that the query pass through from the the website itself, because otherwise normally this kind of traffic blocked by firewall and the website itself at the entry point itself. So
yeah, so in this case, we cannot run this in on-prem. The reason why we cannot run this in the on-prem is we are utilizing the Google Cloud services in order to make it work. That means we shall be able to we should utilize Google services, we should utilize Google compute power, and it costs you, right? And I do have a pricing chart that I want to cover later. It will cost you, for example, like Dave and Dean, they're running K9 today, and we are we're utilizing OpenAI in order to connect to ChatGPT, that is costing us money. Every interaction, every API invocation to OpenAI, we are paying money for that. So in this case, we are utilizing the Google services. Google will bill you for the services that you have been utilizing it. And you can use this on-prem.
I think the answer to the on-prem question is there is an ability, likely through our data science teams, to build LLMs. That said, inside a corporate firewall, it would require petabytes of data. It will require investment from your customer and Kyndryl services to build. But the ability or the concept of building LLMs is not novel. But the reason that we're leveraging these hyperscaler LLMs is because of the massive scale at which they've ingested data. And so what the hyperscalers are doing in the case of ChatGPT and Bard, et cetera, right? Those are the public consumption models, and data, and you don't have to pay for them, as you know, or you have to pay some nominal fee. When you enter an enterprise agreement with Google or Azure or other, the privacy is such that they're not going to use the prompt data that you put into the query to train the public model. And so LLMs can be created for corporations, and I'm certain that there are corporations that are doing it, but they are industry specific, and they're costly to build, and they require petabytes of data to be trained on, and not to mention they require extensive investment in AD and AI. So I think we can answer that. Somebody from the AD and AI team could say, hey, yes, we could help a customer build an on-prem private LLM, but it's not the. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to take a swing at that one, but it's possible, but that's not the scope of what Ravi's presenting at the moment.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dave. Say, guys, especially from the ADA team, right? I mean, we definitely need help. Dave and team need help in terms of building these demos or in terms of building these applications. We cannot build it by ourselves, right? We already been working with Naveen Kamath and his team, Manoj, and a lot of people from his organization has been involved in this. And also Arun and a couple of other organizations that we have been working with. So the objective of this presentation, as I said at the beginning, is how can we collaboratively working on generating meaningful demo for our customers, especially the industry use cases, right? Customers are very interested to see, because the thing that I'm showing is the building blocks, but customers are interested to see whether it is healthcare or whether it is retail or whether it is MCE. They are interested to see what is the meaningful demos that we can create based on that specific industries. And it requires time, it requires effort, it requires working together as a team. So please, after this, let us know if any of you are available to work on creating some of these demos, and we can definitely sit together and see how we can move forward. Okay, so we just covered the search demo. As I said, you attach the enterprise data with the Generative App Studio, and you create the enterprise search code. This is one of the foundation building block that you can utilize to create generative business applications. So the next demo I want to cover is create generative AI with Vertex AI. Right? Vertex AI is one of these services provided by Google. You can pretty much fine tune the foundation model. You can take a foundation model and you can deploy it, and you can also do a lot of additional model creation by utilizing the Vertex AI. So let's go to this Vertex AI that we have. But before I go to the demo, any questions?
I think you're good so far.
All right, thank you. So let's look at the Google Generative AI Studio. So I want to make it very easier, right? I mean, if you really look at the way Google did this is again, it's very easily you can create the application. For example, I'm just taking a sample code. Say, let me see. I want to get some text. Let me see.
Hey, Ravi,
Yeah.
just when you're in that UI, can I just point out one thing that was asked earlier? So, industry-specific LLMs, or if you drop down the model on the right-hand side, text Bison, Ravi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Over here on the right where it says model text Bison 001.
Yep. This
So
is
there's,
the
yeah,
go ahead.
and so if you have access to, so for instance, they have, there was a question earlier in the chat around, are there industry-specific LLMs? Google does have paid versions, and one of the big ones that they're touting today is MedPalm API, and so that one's trained, right? So we don't have access to all of them, right? But this is where you would train your model against a particular large language model. Bison happens to be the biggest, and then they have, and it's the most costly, but the most has the most context. They have their smallest large language model for text is Gecko, and then they have different animals in between based on the cost. So that's where you would select in Vertex AI the industry-specific model that Google has provided.
And,
Yeah.
and another thing to be aware of for cost is, so the text Bison, you have an 8K and you have a 32K token version. That's for input. So if you don't ever think that you're going to need 32,000 tokens for input as opposed to the 8K version, then just use the 8K,
You might want to tell them what tokens are, Steve.
All right. Thank you, guys. So if you really look at, the answer is yes. As Dave mentioned, yes, there is industry, foundation models available for us to utilize right now, especially the healthcare industry. So in this case, we are using one of the models. So as you can see here, so one of the thing that you need to be careful about is token limit. So Google just announced that they increased the token limit. One of the limiting factor earlier was the number of tokens that they allow was very minimal. That means number of text that you can copy it here is very minimal. Their framework won't allow a large text pasting. So right now they increase that limit and they keep increasing the limit. So in this demo, I'm just utilizing the Google Generative AI Studio. You just pasted some text here and say like create 2 steps below, right? And you configure your parameters here and it will provide you a response and it will provide you 2 steps. Or it will give you like create a Twitter post with hashtags and it will give you the response for that Twitter. See, the reason why I'm showing here is, guys, if somebody wanted to create a generative AI applications, I just wanted to showcase how easy it is today in order to do that. You don't need to know about ML development. You don't need to know about artificial intelligence details. All you need to do is learn is how to utilize the tools that is provided by Google, like Generative AI Studio, like, Model Garden, or like notebooks. They provide different notebooks like Collab and Workbench. These are the things that we need to learn, and then we shall be able to create the applications. So in this case, I got a Python code that I can copy it and I can paste it in my application and start utilizing it. And it will provide you a Collab notebook also. Collab is nothing but It's a predefined notebook that you shall be able to move from development to pre-production to production. Or you can use it an API, Kale API, it will provide you. So just wanted to make sure that show this, how we can make it easier for us to create something by utilizing Google provided framework for creating the applications. So I know we are running out of time. I have so many of the other stuffs that need to be covered, but maybe we can do that in the next session. I just wanted to spend past couple of minutes to get you anything that you want to discuss or any feedback that you guys have. I see a lot of chat messages. Yeah, go ahead.
Ravi, so just to, as you said in the beginning of the call, you need to you need help with the demos. So would you be providing some kind of a place for us to play with these models? Because obviously we cannot run these models on our local laptops or local machines. So we definitely need some space for that. So if we can talk about that.
Yeah, please reach out to Dave, right? I mean, he has the Google account. Only things that need to be careful about is we don't want to incur additional charges, but we shall be able to work with you and see how we can create an account. And we would like to utilize the accounts that we have if possible, but if it is something that we need, we can definitely work it out.
Yeah, Ravi, one thing on that. So actually reach out to Mag. She's compiling a list of resources, what the role that they play, and we can use, as long as we know what skill sets, Mag can help apply them to some of the work that we're trying to get done. So the primary contact, if you want to get involved, is Magdali, and then certainly access to the right project or models. Myself and my team can help with.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
Yeah. If not, thank you for joining. I'll schedule a couple of additional sessions to cover the rest of the demos and rest of the materials. But again, as I said, the objective of this meeting is to see who all out in Kyndryl out there who can work with us, collaboratively to do some of the meaningful demos that we can showcase to our customers, right? And thank you for signing up this course, and I really appreciate you guys joining it. And please let us know if you guys have any questions or any follow-up needed.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a link that Jeff provided for the privacy officer with LLMs. Please read that as well.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice job, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, team.